Hey, good morning, at least for me. Sonke Sojourner House. I am here the first time for the live video. Hi everyone from Maryland. Hello from Maryland. Lori. Okay, I can see myself here on YouTube, so everything works. I'm also on Facebook, by the way, and if anybody can see me there, let me know. You should be able to react from there as well. Manuela, you know, I've never been to Romania, and I really want to go to Romania. I had so many friends from Romania when I lived in Israel, so that will be one of my projects, I guess, maybe in this year. Happy New Year, Chris, Amanda. Yeah, so, you know, I want to tell you, first of all, Happy New Year, Sophia. That I really went through a hard time, a very hard period. Like I maybe didn't show, maybe did show. I know that the sensitive people amongst you could probably sense it, but I really went through what they call the dark days of the soul. And fortunately, you know, Manuel, I'll arrive there. Fortunately, I managed to pull myself, or at least my higher consciousness, and be able to observe it. You know, like from outside, and learn from it, and also it helps me today understand what people go through. Before I could only imagine, but now I kind of know. I got the inside track, what people go through, you know, and I realized that, you know, you don't always have control over it. But if you leave what I call a hook outside of this dark place, you can always grab it and pull yourself out. And what I mean by hook is always remember the good times, remember the love that there is out there, remember, like, you know, the nice people that are out there. If you leave that out there, you can always grab it like a rope and pull yourself out. So, yeah, it's, but I want to tell you that I'm now, I don't know if that has anything to do with the new year, but I'm fully re-energized, and I look at this whole episode as a kind of a, I don't want to say test, but a kind of another experience that I needed to go through to arrive at my destination. And this is how I accepted, you know, that is how I deal with it. So, you know, I always preach that, you know, that we shouldn't stay in the middle. We should go to the extremes, good and bad, if we want to experience life. So, you know, I have to walk the talk, I guess. Anyway, I got lots of interesting stuff for you for this coming year and beyond. Today, I want to talk about something which is quite known and simple, and I call it the secret that's hidden on the surface. But I'll present it to you in a different way, and I think that you can revolutionize your life with this. So don't come to any conclusions until you hear this whole thing to the end, because it may sound too simplistic. But remember, everything real is always simple. Anything that's complicated is not real or not true. You know, a funny thing, I was reading yesterday, somebody collected newspaper clips from 1923, which is 100 years ago. And he collected clips, about, like, they were predicting what will the world look like in 100 years, which is today. And it's really amazing what they came up with. I'll just give you two examples. One didn't happen, which is they said that somebody said that we will communicate by telepathy only, like no instruments. So that didn't really happen. I think we went the other way. But somebody said there that the watch will become a communication device that we will be able to talk to anybody anywhere in the world. They didn't talk about video, but still. So it's very interesting. So let's hear from you maybe in the comments here. What do you think will happen in the next 100? What will the world look like in, what will it be? 21, yeah, 21, 23. Yeah, in 100 years. So, be very interesting. Or maybe you will just draw an empty thing, like it's gone. There's nothing there. All right. So I want to read something to you which I posted on Facebook, so some of you may have seen it. It's not my original. I can't remember who wrote it. I cannot give the credit here, but it says, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. So in a short few days, I said we will enter, I wrote this before the new year, but we already entered 2023. So what do you want to change? Okay, and what you want to change must be faced. So what are you going to face that requires change? Is it yourself? Is it another person? Or is it a situation? So remember, I'm here with my videos and in person, talkforlife.com, and I can definitely work with you on facing those situations and facing them properly. And I'll give you an example. And this is one of my best friends. I don't want to mention names here, but you all know him. And him and his wife had a big argument with his parents. They actually had a big fight, and it really affected his life and his wife's life, and they didn't know how to resolve it. Anyway, I got involved in it. I went to talk to his parents and so on, and then they were going to go and meet with his parents to discuss the situation and try to sort it out. So they asked me, what shall we do? What shall we talk about? And I didn't reply to them. I was thinking about it, and then all of a sudden he called me and he says, oh, we are on the way. What shall we do? And I said, you know what you do? You sit there and you just listen, and you tell them, we came here to listen. We're not going to react. We're not going to counter, say this is right. We'll just sit and listen, and you say everything that's on your mind, on your heart, and we will go home and digest it and discuss it. We don't want to have an argument. And you know what? The rest is history. It had I think it had an amazing effect. They didn't expect that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I always come with unusual solutions almost to every problem, whether it's business or life or any situation. So come see me if you face anything that requires a solution that's not currently in your reality, so you cannot see it, right? So in my greetings for 2023, I wish first that you don't have to face anything. Okay? And if you do, it should be only a good surprise. But if you do have to face something, I wish that you don't hesitate to face it. Okay? And when you face it, I wish you resolve it to the greatest benefit of all involved. Okay? So this is my unique wish for you for 2023. Besides, of course, health and happiness and, I don't want to say all your desires because it's not right. Because some of your desires, you may find out that they are wrong. Like I found it on my own, from my own experience. Sometimes you desire something and it's not right for you. So I wish you that the universe, the programmer, actually sorts out your desires and only gives you the ones that are good for you. Because some of them you don't know and they're not good for you. So, as I said, I want to talk today. Let me bring the microphone closer. I didn't realize it was far away. You will hear me better. Let's see. Yeah, that works better. The thing I want to talk about today is in my opinion, the key to navigating this reality, this world. It's absolutely the key. And it was designed that way. But we know it, but we don't know why. And I'm going to tell you why, and it will become much more powerful. And when you do it, it will really, it will change your life. Okay? It will change your reality. And it will make many things that, are impossible currently, or do you perceive them as impossible? And yeah, we will look at that line again in a minute. It will make it possible. So, really what I'm going to do here, I'm going to connect the philosophies of reality transurfing, Neville Goddard, the line of impossibilities that, it's my invention, I guess, the architect, the programmer, and nothingness, manifesting, and how it all works together through one door. Okay, and that door I want to talk about. So let me just bring here that line of impossibilities. And by the way, phobias can also be resolved that way, and I'll show you how. Okay, or at least can be helped. All right, so let me just decrease myself so we can see this thing here. So this is that line of impossibilities or possibilities, call it whatever, this famous line. Let me change the color here so you can see it better. And as I always say, that line is created actually in your subconscious. As it says here, it exists only in your mind. Everything, every goal, desire, or whatever you like that's above the line looks impossible to you. Like, getting $1 million tomorrow by 9 o'clock, going to the moon, you name it. And everything that's under that line, it's possible. Whether it's getting an ice cream or, calling somebody on the phone or going for a walk, those are possibilities, right? And in many of my videos, what I'm saying to you is that goals that you have in your lives, goals that you set, should be actually in this part of the line, not here. And this connects to reality transurfing outer intention, because if you use the outer intention, you will be able to achieve goals up here and move them down here. Okay? And why I say phobias, it's the same story. What's a phobia? It's something that scares you. Like, let's say that you're afraid to fly, right, on an airplane. So it's a phobia, and it comes up here because it's something that you will not do, right? And there is no difference between this and an impossible goal. You need to bring it down. What does it mean? You basically have to get on an airplane and fly, and after that, it's not going to scare you anymore. Or, the problem is that it's very hard to do it like with a sharp turn, like one shot. And what I think that I have a video on that subject, and I call it the salami concept, right? So we take a salami and we slice it into fine slices, and we do one slice at a time. So it's not becoming, in the case of flying, maybe it's a little bit complicated to do that, but in many cases, it's, at least with goals, right? You take a step, you take a small step, and you slice one slice, and it still stays here. But at some point, when you sliced enough, let's say you got to the middle of it, all of a sudden, it will drop down here. Okay? So this is what I want to talk about. I want to tell you how to do this, how to slice it. Okay? All right. I'll take the iPad away here. Doesn't make that noise anymore, you see. Now, if you remember, I used to make this funny noise every 15 seconds. I got to the bottom of that one. All right. So I'll go a little bit into Kabbalah, for example. According to Kabbalah, there are 4 worlds. And I'll read it to you here. Asiya, also known as Olam Asiya, which in Hebrew means literally the world of action, is the last of the 4 spiritual worlds of the Kabbalah. Atzilut, Beriah, Yetzirah, those are the other 3. It doesn't matter. It's basically not action. It's other things, okay? Asiya is based on a passage in Isaiah 43:7 out of the Bible. It is identical with the existing world that we live in, okay? So what it means is that the world is based on action. And I'll give you a lot of background here so that you see it in such a way that you will be 100% convinced that this is the biggest secret, okay, of this of this reality. Basically what I'm saying here is that taking action, and mostly physical action, okay, not just in your mind, action, is the only entrance to success, happiness, achievement, and longevity. Okay, because it also makes you feel in control. Longevity and health has a direct relationship with being in control. As soon as you are not in control, this is where you start to get sick and your life shortens. It's the feeling that you are not in control. Okay? As long as you feel that you are in control, even if you are in a very bad situation, it's not going to affect your health and, obviously your longevity. Now, you may say that this is very obvious, but watch to the end. I think you will understand why it is such a powerful advice here. Okay? You know that a friend that actually I think is watching this video right now, she sent me a message last night and said that this is not right, not correct, because she can manifest, she does most of the things in her mind and it happens. And, I never look at things as black and white, because this whole reality is based on uncertainty. But I will say 2 things to that. Number 1, there are some people that can do that. They are very unique. Like I, again, said in the past, that Pharaoh, when he built those pyramids, he actually did it with his mind, and he managed to project it on this whole project and the people that were involved, and they were able to do things that are not normally doable. So, but, you and I, the normal people, not necessarily can do it. And the second thing I would say to my friend is that if we really analyze all the things that she did, and I know some of them, we will come to the conclusion that they all started with action. Okay? And I'm sure that I will get a reaction on that, but this is how, because I like to get, call it negative or different opinions, because this is how I grow, right? This is how because I also get stuck in one thing and I don't see the rest anymore until other people show me. And rather than arguing with it, I take it and I try to see and expand my understanding. So let's look at it. Oh, by the way, this is also the reason I told you a few times that if you want something, you have to say it aloud. You cannot say it in your mind, because that's the difference between action and non-action. When you think about it, and even if you say it to yourself silently in your mind, that's not action. But if you say it aloud, it's action, because you move the air in this reality. You move something physical, okay? So let's look at it from the programmer's perspective, because at the end of the day, the programmer programmed this thing. And everything that happens here was the way the programmer wanted it to be, right? I mean, not what we create now. This is more, the unknown for the programmer, because that's what he created it for. But the infrastructure, the fundamental infrastructure was built and designed in a certain way. So we'll look at the programmer again. And obviously I'm talking about God, and those are not 2 different entities. I know somebody wrote to me, they thought that I'm talking about 2 different entities. No, the programmer, the architect, God, okay, those are all the same entity. And let's look at the programmer when he was in nothingness. Well, there was nothing, right? So being in nothingness, and again, I have quite a number of videos about this nothingness thing, is all you can do, you can only create things in your imagination, in your thoughts, in your imagination, but you cannot create anything physical, or you cannot get any action or reaction from another entity if you don't have a physical tool to create that reaction, okay? Because we take it for granted here, right? If we kiss somebody, we love somebody, right? Then it creates a certain emotion. If we hit somebody, it creates a different emotion. But you cannot do that if you live in a virtual reality where there is no physical entity, like there's nothing physical, like nothingness. So for the programmer, the only way to create this kind of emotions and experience them, which to you, again, you take it for granted, you experience this all day long, and sometimes you don't even like it. But for somebody who lives in nothingness, and I brought at the time the example of being in a coma with no five senses, but being fully conscious, right? Then it would be great for that person in the coma, like that's the biggest wish they can have, is to have their physical reality back, right? The five senses. So this is what the programmer wanted when he was in nothingness. And, in his infinite mind, everything is perfect, but there's no experiences. So what did he do? Right? He created this physical reality. And I'll read to you some interesting passages from Genesis. I know that most of you are not religious, but it doesn't matter. You still, I know that you still like some biblical references and stories, as long as I don't make you grow a beard and go to church or to some other institution. Okay, so he created us, okay, the avatars, and he gave us this reality, this physical reality, so that we can create all those experiences and emotions. But how do we do it? Like if you look through the whole Torah, I'm not talking about the rest of the Old Testament, because that's already more modern, and it's all mostly written by people, prophets and kings, and it's more like a history book. But in the Torah, in the 5 books of Moses, the word prayer is mentioned only once. Like there's no prayer there. In the 613 commandments that the Israelites got in the desert, therein, right, of which 10 you know, the highest percentage, they are physical action. All the miracles that Moses performed for the children of Israel in Egypt, with the 10 plagues, and in the 40 years in the desert, and so on. And even when they arrived at the land of Israel, it was all physical. God told him to use his staff, that stick that he had, and everything he did was with that staff, right? He banged on the stone, and water came out. He raised that, and the sea opened up, and everything he did, even the 10 plagues. Like he told him, you hit the river, and it will become blood. You throw a bunch of sand or ashes in the air, and it will become some illness or some bugs or whatever. But it was always with a physical action, because if it wasn't that way, then this whole thing is unnecessary. All Moses needed to do is just say it or pray it, and it would happen. But no, everything was physical. Even when there is a passage in the Torah where the Israelites upset the programmer God, and he sent those poisonous snakes at them, right? And they were dying by the tens of thousands. And God said to Moses, and Moses said to Aaron, make a snake out of brass and hang it, put it on a pole, and anybody that will look at that snake will heal and won't die. Again, physical action. He could have just said, say abracadabra, and you won't die. But no, it had to be a physical action. So what I am really telling you is that physical action or action, maybe physical, I shouldn't say physical, but action is really the master key, okay? It's your master key to everything. And I will expand on it more and more. I'll give you some, when I said Genesis, I want to give you here some interesting view on it, that actually that interpretation doesn't exist. Like the rabbis did not understand what I think that I understood, okay? So you see, let's look at the creation section. That's the beginning of Genesis. And, he creates Adam, and but it's not physical. He creates Adam more as a virtual entity, right? And then when Adam eats from that fruit of knowledge, he expels him from the Garden of Eden, and this is where he becomes actually physical. How do you say explanation? I don't know. That act of expelling him actually threw him out into this physical world. And I'll show you that it actually says that. And this is what I'm saying. The rabbis, I don't think, understood it that way. Maybe they have their own interpretation. But, in chapter 1 of Genesis, which is the first chapter of the Torah, of the whole Bible, it's number 27, if you want to look it up. And it says, and this is the interpretation in English, and God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Okay? So he created here men. It says men and women, but actually it was a man at the beginning. But he created them in a virtual way. And then in Genesis chapter 2, which is the next chapter, he repeats that whole thing, but in a different way. And I'll read it to you. It says, he created Adam again. That's what I'm saying. And it says like this, then the Lord God formed man out of dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. Okay? So you can see that there is two creations here. First, he created that entity in the virtual world, and then he actually made it physical. And this is what we are today. Okay? And I'll give you some example here from quantum mechanics. It's a big jump from Genesis to quantum mechanics, but this is what I do. I go everywhere. I don't get stuck in one corner of of something. So, see, in quantum physics, I'm sure that if you ever looked at quantum physics, I'm not a scientist and I'm not using any scientific terms, but there is a term called superposition. And what it means that everything in the quantum world, like talking about particles, it does not necessarily apply to when you make things bigger, when you take billions and billions of particles and they become atoms and molecules and so on. But some of it does still apply. But we are talking about those particles, and it's superposition means that they are not in any particular position or they don't form any particular thing until you measure them, until you look at it. And you have to be a consciousness to make that happen. And I'll read to you something here that a scientist wrote, I think out of Wikipedia. See, in quantum mechanics, this is known as superposition. Actually, wait, I have it for you here, so you can read it with me. Okay, so in quantum mechanics, this is known as superposition. For any experiment that can result in many random outcomes before we make a measurement, the system is said to be in a superposition of all possible states simultaneously. When we make a measurement, that means when we look at it really, we cannot look at it with our eyes, so it says measurement because you have to use instruments. Those things are too small to see. The system collapses It means that it takes a position, right, into a single state that we observe. So what does it mean? It means that the whole reality here, right, is a potential. And the only way you make it into something is when you take physical action. Okay, this measurement is action. And I'll show you the second part of it. It says, if we take this line of thinking to its logical conclusion, then measurement is the most important act in the universe. It transforms fuzzy probabilities into concrete results and changes an exotic quantum system into verifiable results that we can interpret with our senses. Okay? This is written by, I don't have the name here, but he's quite a accredited scientist. Okay? But I think this is the accepted view by quantum physicists anyway. It's not something unique. All right. So I just wanted to give you all this background so you understand why physical action or action is so important, and why if you want to achieve something, you will have to take action. Okay? It's not enough to think about it and make plans and you know, you have to take action, and it doesn't matter how big. If you start with a small action, then outer intention, the universe, the programmer, the system, the way it's designed will help you, and you will achieve your goal or whatever you do. Okay, so bottom line is really that this reality was created for its physical attributes to generate emotions that cannot be generated in the virtual world, in the nothingness. All right, this is the purpose. Like if you look at God's programmer, you know, business plan, you will find that text in there. Okay? And the way things work here, okay, and I will show you another picture here. Let me just go back here. Done. Okay. Okay, so what I want to show you here, you see, in essence, what we have, the way things work here, we have our consciousness, right, which is, I can draw here, I forget. The consciousness right here, and that consciousness sits actually in nothingness, in that virtual world where the programmer is, this is a part of the programmer. This is how the programmer absorbs and experiences everything that happens here. And that consciousness, which is personal, each one of us has the consciousness up there. This is us here in the physical world. And the connection from the consciousness to us, to the avatar, and it was built that way on purpose, because otherwise the consciousness could have experienced everything by itself. It didn't need the avatar, right? So the game, the way it's played, is that the consciousness can only communicate with you and me through the sixth sense. It cannot communicate through the five senses. That's why you get what it's called gut feeling. Oh, I have a gut feeling I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't go with that person, I shouldn't buy this product, and so on and so on, right? Move the camera a little bit, so I move to the center here, just a second. There we go. So the reason you have a gut feeling is because it's a sixth sense thing. Your consciousness is trying to tell you something, but it cannot communicate with you. It cannot say, hey, John, listen, I'm your consciousness, don't do that. Instead, you get this gut feeling because it comes through the sixth sense. It doesn't come through the five senses because that entity is not in physical reality, so it cannot use the five senses. You realize that. That red line that you see here, it separates, right? So it cannot penetrate that line and get into the physical reality because it's not physical. So it can only influence you through the sixth sense. So even when you get ill, it does it through the sixth sense. It makes you feel bad about something, or it makes you feel depressed, or it makes you feel regret, or some kind of thing. It plants it into your physical mind here, and that starts to grow just like a snowball. And it can make you sick. It can even kill us. Okay? So keep that in mind, that this whole thing this is how it works, okay? And the consciousness is like a rider on a horse. We are the horse and this is the rider, but it doesn't have the reins. And it needs to control the horse, us, in some other ways. And that's why when you are in the flow, when you feel like you are flowing, like everything is going and you just flow, you don't resist, you don't fight, it's because your consciousness managed to get you on a wave and you are actually listening to that sixth sense. You are attuned to it. Some people may say frequency. There's no frequencies here, but it's very similar to being on the right frequency. And when you are on the right frequency, on that sixth sense with your consciousness, life is amazing because consciousness knows everything. It will only do the right things for you. It will guide you the right way. It doesn't have any nonsense there. It's all, it's all real. It's all true, and it knows everything because it's connected to God. It stays in that virtual, collective consciousness, I call it. All right. Let's come back here. Now, when you do take action, there is a very, very important rule. And I will actually put it on the screen here, not only say it, because that's just as important as the action. All right? Progress, not perfection. Because if you look for perfection, you will not make progress. You will never achieve your goal because you cannot reach perfection. And many of us, I have a son like that, they want perfection. And it's very tough to live with a personality that looks for perfection. I mean, to live with your own personality, not somebody else that wants perfection, because you always you expect yourself to do something that's not possible. So you can never really do it. So remember, when you do take action, okay, look for progress, not perfection. I'm showing it with my finger, but you couldn't see me. All right. So before I go to your comments, I will have my environmental moment. I try to do it in every live video. I know I didn't do it when we did this thing with Michael. And by the way, if you have any questions for Michael or you want him to say or explain something, please let me know. And, I can always bring him here online. And we can do another video and just ask. I actually posted something on Facebook yesterday. I think it says that you may feel that it's kind of stupid or dumb to ask, but it's much more stupid and dumb when you don't know how to do something and you didn't ask. Okay? And you give up. So, always ask. I am here, I answer all my emails. I'm always there for any appointment. And it may take time, sometimes takes a week before I answer, but I always answer. Or at least I think so. So I don't know what I don't know. So, after saying all this, I would say let's start 2023 and beyond with action. Okay? And okay, environment. Sorry, I lost my line of thoughts here. So today I want to talk about microplastics. Okay, so what it says here, that may be too small for you to read, but what you see in the picture, those are tiny pieces of plastic that actually were found at Galapagos Islands, where the penguins play. And this is far away from the industrial world and everything. So really it comes through the currents and streams and everything under the ocean. And what it says here, you see microplastics in every color of the rainbow found in samples of prey, such as anchovies and milkfish, says UBC is University of British Columbia here, researcher Carly McMullen. Researchers at the new UBC hub that focuses on microplastics in the ocean are studying how many of the toxic particles have been found in marine prey in the Galapagos Island. And there is a second part that I took a picture of is, she said there were various amounts of microplastic in the samples they took from prey items for the penguins, such as anchovies and other fish. However, in one sample of milkfish, she said they found 29 pieces. These plastic fibers are about half the thickness of a human hair, and there were 29 of them in one individual milkfish. They were in every color of the rainbow. Alava said there are plastics bands in the Galapagos, and what the research suggests is the microplastics are drifting into this sensitive and protected ecosystem from all over the world. Well, what it really means also is that everything we eat from the ocean and maybe even from the land is got these microplastics, and apparently they are very sharp, so they can cause ulcers and you name it. So what I'm trying to say basically, and I think I said it before, is I cannot say don't use plastics, because nobody can at this point not use plastics. It's not possible. But be aware and try to reduce as much as possible. And, we will not fix it with a sharp turn, but hopefully it will get fixed over time and cleaned out of the environment. All right. So let's go here to your comments. And, Mark, hey, you made it today, huh? Mark, you are very unique. I have to say that, the stuff that you send me and the thoughts and things you have are very, very, very unique. Almost like me. I'm just kidding. Petula, haven't heard from you in a while. Praveen Sharma. Meow. Sammy. John. Angel Hands, so you are here. Great wisdom as usual, and you are great. Besides wisdom, you have something that most people don't. You have this ability to see through that red line. That where is it here? You can see. Michael. If this is Michael, he can actually penetrate and see here. Amazing stuff. I guess some of you experienced that. I know some of you met him after this last video. Just a second. I'm trying to get the camera to be more on me, but it doesn't really work. Okay. So come back here. There we go. Okay. So, ocean mist. Thank you. I see that there's some nice comments here about myself. Confirming a suspicious angel. I think I understand the mechanism. One moment, I'm watching the video now. Oh, okay. It'd be interesting if you can help us understand the mechanism. Say goals that loud are more powerful. Wow. Our Shlomo is right. Okay, I should actually put it on the screen. Knowledge is power, but knowledge plus action is real power, success, create anything you want. Yeah, that's really what I was saying here. Roger. Is the consciousness the programmer? That's a very good question. The consciousness is a part of the programmer. Okay, so if you have an octopus, this is one of those arms that the octopus has, but it's connected directly to the brain, right? To the center of the octopus. So the consciousness is really part of God, but in a metaphorical way, you can look at it as God split himself into 8 billion pieces, okay? And each one of us is one of those pieces in the consciousness. Our consciousness is one of those pieces. And in one way, it's limited. It's not like God, but because it's connected directly to it is part of the programmer. It knows everything that goes on inside the programmer, and that's why it knows everything. So that's that's how I would describe it. Thank you. Meow. Ocean mist. Ocean mist could be a bad feeling sometimes. Other times you can be tempted, but no, it's the same time that's wrong or will drag you down. Expect you ignore the moment of decision. Yeah, that's really what I'm talking about, gut feeling. It really guides you all the time. But most of us don't have, it's not strong enough compared to the physical things that we have, right? If somebody's pointing a gun at us, we're not going to start looking at our gut feelings like we're going to try and survive physically. And this is the thing with the sixth sense, right? That it's very faint compared to everything physical. And that's why, by the way, physical in this reality is more powerful than the sixth sense. So this is how this whole thing is working. Yeah, well, that's easy to drive and look in the rear view mirror, right? Because it's already happened and it's easy to see. Yeah, hi Chris. Hello, Gaurav. Yeah, Michael is amazing. Actually, I had dinner there last night, and Michael, not last night, night before last. It was great. They know I like lamb, so they roasted the lamb. It was amazing. I still have some of it here. Well, Michael can answer that. I know that in the video that we did here, he disclosed that he did ayahuasca. So if you want to call that psychedelics, then yes. But you say XD, I don't know what that is. But I'm sure that Michael, since he is here, he may actually react here. Soon we'll get there. Hey, that's good. So what you are saying, Eddie, that the other ones were not really alive. They were kind of half dead. No, I'm just kidding. But I told you, that I'm back to myself. This is like the normal Shlomo, not like in the last 2-3 months. As too many things hit me. I guess the programmer was giving me, like I said, a test, but now he took them away. Hey, Aya. How is your school in Germany? Yeah, that was a nice meeting we had with your friends. I really enjoyed it. And, I asked you at the end of the meeting if you really listen to the news and do you are you interested, or is it on your mind what happens in the world? And the answer you gave me was very interesting. So, I thought it would be that way. But you kind of confirmed it. It's a small sample for people, but still. So this is Michael. Angel Hands is Michael. Making lunch and putting my intention into action. Yeah, Michael is also a very good cook. Him and his wife, they create amazing meals. Could I have a book recommendation? I've been reading a lot about wealth consciousness. Well, there's too many books out there, but I did recommend a book a couple videos ago, and I will put that link down here again. I think it's called The Magician's Way. So I'll put the link down in the description below once I'm done with the video. Okay? So you can look at it. It's actually a very good book. Can we reverse illness to our pets? Can we heal them? Well, it's hard enough to heal yourself. Now you want to take it to the pet? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I have a dog, and I showed him to you once. He's sleeping right now. His name is Smigel, like the one from the movie there, that frog. And he's 15, actually he's going to be 15 next month. And I don't want to really take the credit for it, but he was in a bad shape. He had lots of issues. And today, I took him in the morning. I took him for a walk, and he was chasing squirrels. Unbelievable! He didn't do that in I don't know in years. He was chasing squirrels, like not one here, one there, running, run. And the his see, I get a blackout. I cannot remember how to say a dog doctor. Is veterinarian. They basically didn't have good prognosis for him, and that was a number of years ago. And all the things they said never happened, even though they recommended this surgery and this operation and this, that, and da. And you know what? He's fine without any of this. So, okay, going back to your question. I think where was that question here? There we go. First of all, you cannot reverse anything in this reality. So never say, can we reverse? Because if you try to reverse something, it will not going. It's the wrong definition. It's the wrong action to try to reverse. Nothing can be reversed. Because time, again, if you watched my videos and I talk about time cannot be reversed because time doesn't even exist. Time is just a measurement system. It's like a measurement stick for change. So if you wanted to reverse something, you would have to take the whole universe and change everything that moved, every particle, back to a certain position that it was in at the time you want to reverse it to. It's not possible, okay? So what you can do is create a new situation, but you cannot reverse, okay? So don't use that term because it basically fails you. So anything that happens to you, God forbid, bad, illness or to the pet, there's no reversing. It's the same like I say with subconscious. You cannot reprogram subconscious. You can rewrite, you can put a new layer of new experiences, and that will basically replace what's there. Same with the pet. You can create a new reality for the pet or for yourself, and in that reality, the pet is fine. And this is really what I do when I try to heal somebody or myself or anything else. You cannot reverse, okay? So try to create a new reality, and remember that the pet is actually part of you. The pet doesn't have its own consciousness. It downloads your consciousness, okay? It's like avatar only when you get it. But it takes your consciousness, and you will notice that many dogs look in some ways on their face like the owner. And many pets, I would say even almost all pets, behave like the owner. And this is the reason, because they absorb the owner's personality. Okay, they don't have their own. Even though if you take a certain dog, physically maybe barking more or biting more, but at the end of the day, they will absorb most of the owner's. So in order to heal your dog, you have to deal with yourself too. Because if you heal yourself, and here we are, right? I healed myself, or the programmer healed me, whatever, and I many of the things that bothered me for the last few months, they are gone. And the dog all of a sudden is chasing squirrels, right? Because he's influenced by me. He's part of me. So, I cannot get into a deeper in this forum, but I think that you get the idea. Manuela. All right. You are very welcome, Roger. There is it. You can heal pets. There you go. I know. When he comes here, he always does some magic to Smigel with his hands, with his angel hands, of course. My 9-year-old dog was recently diagnosed with, and I don't believe doctors. Well, this is exactly what happened to this Smigel. They said that he had that same thing in his butt somewhere there, and that was a few years ago. They wanted to operate, and my son, which actually is the owner of the dog, wanted to do it, and I said, just leave him alone. You know that scientifically it's known that a high percentage of people have cancer and they never know about it. Because when they operate on people that die, when they do autopsies, they find that many people have cancer that has never grown. It just got to a certain point and it stopped. And the problem in some ways these days that everything is like early detection. And again, a high percentage of those that wouldn't be detected get detected, and then they treat them. And as soon as you touch a cancer, that's where it spreads. Okay? I'm not saying that it doesn't spread if you don't do anything, but the chances that cancer will spread are way, way higher when you start to deal with it. It's the same like, when you get the flu, there is secondary bacterial infections. Why? I always wondered why. And the regular explanation, if you don't dig into it, is that, your immune system weakens because the virus weakens your immune system, and the bacteria then attacks you because your immune system is weak. And this is not the case. Apparently, the reason for it is when your body activates the immune system and starts to kill attack the viruses, it bothers the bacteria that's in your body all the time. And the bacteria actually defends itself and attacks you. Because it thinks that the immune system is attacking it. So apparently that's the reason. And cancer is no different. So again, this is my personal, very subjective opinions, but it's up to you what you do with it. All right. So you said about that. Turkey tail mushrooms. It can slow down considerably the progress of the tumor. Right, there is something interesting. See, if we can exchange information here, this is fantastic. And by the way, if you ever want to see these comments again, they will not appear in the regular YouTube comments at the bottom. Those will only happen after, when the video becomes permanent, not live. If you want to see these comments, you will have to watch the video and bring it to that time when the comment was put in. Then it will be there on the side. Okay, so if you rewatch the video, all the comments will appear again. But you cannot find them in the comments in YouTube. Smigel from the Lord of the Rings. That's nice. Hey, Smigel, come here. People want to see you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come. Come. Enough sleeping. Sleep all day. Come. 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 Come here. Come here. Come. Woo. Come. 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 Okay. Come. Just give a smile to the camera and then you can go again. There we go. Okay. The reason his tongue is out is because he's missing some teeth in the front. And there's nothing to stop the tongue, so that's why. There you go. Wanna say hi? Hi, everybody. Okay, so that was Smigel. You're a good boy. Need to refocus here. There we go. Okay. We take future and put it into the past. No, we recreate the past in the future. We cannot put anything in the past. The past is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. So if you want to recreate anything, it's like, the videos where they show they show a glass, like you throw the glass on the floor and it breaks. And then they reverse the video and the glass puts itself back together and there's the glass. That can only happen in the movie. It cannot happen. In real life, okay, you can recreate the glass. You can glue it or make a new glass. You can recreate the past that way, but you cannot reverse it and make it come together again. That's not possible. That's why time travel cannot happen. You can recreate anything, but you cannot go back. And if you want more explanation, go and watch the video where I say, what is time? I think that's what the video is called. All right. I'm not reading it aloud. You can read it yourself. But this is very good information. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm just being very logical and not logical. I would say I'm being practical. I take many knowledge from many areas, and I try to bring it out in a way that it can be understood and used. Thank you. Thank you. All right, my friends. I really hope to see more of you coming to visit. Go to talkforlife.com. There is many ways you can talk to me there. If you explore, you will see that you don't necessarily have to go through the normal channel. I provide other ways for you to talk to me, and I would be more than happy to see you. All right. So all the best to all of you. I really appreciate and thank you for all your participation here, the input, because now I can enjoy you too, not only you enjoying me, like in a regular video. That's actually why I'm doing that live, because it's amazing. It's more like talking to people, right? Thank you, John. Okay, so again, I'll say what I probably said before. Let this year be the best year you ever had and the worst one from all the years that come after. Okay? All the best. Take care. Bye.